इतराश्रमैः वयं जयेम हेलाभिर् दस्युन् दुर्गपतिर्यथा यामाश्रित्येतेन्द्रियार्तिन् दुर्जयान् इतराश्रमैः वयं जयेम हेलाभिर् दस्युन् दुर्गपतिर्यथा. याम whom ashritya senses aratin enemies durjayan difficult to conquer itara other than the householders ashramaihi by orders of society vayam we jayema can conquer Helabihi easily Dasyun invading plunderers Durgapatihi a fort commander Yata as translation and purport by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. As a fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers. By taking shelter of a wife one can conquer the senses which are unconquerable in other social orders. Please repeat the translation. As a fort commander very easily conquers invading plunderers. By taking shelter of a wife, one can conquer the senses which are unconquerable in the other social orders. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Of the four orders of human society, the student or brahmachari order, the householder or grihastha order, the retired or vanaprastha order, and the renounced or sannyasa order. The householder is on the safe side. The bodily senses are considered plunderers of the fort of the body. The wife is supposed to be the commander of the fort, and therefore whenever there is an attack on the body by the senses, it is the wife who protects the body from being smashed. The sex demand is inevitable for everyone, but one who has a fixed wife is saved from the onslaught of the sense enemies. A man who possesses a good wife does not create a disturbance in society by corrupting virgin goals. Without a fixed wife, a man becomes a debauchee of the first order and is a nuisance in society, unless he is a trained brahmachari, vanaprastha or sannyasi. Unless there is a rigid systematic training of the brahmachari by the expert spiritual master, and unless the student is obedient, it is sure that the so-called brahmacharis will fall prey to the attack of sex. There are so many instances of fall down, even for great yogis like Vishwamitra. A grihastha is saved, however, because of his faithful wife. Sex life is the cause of material bondage, and therefore it is prohibited in 3 ashramas and is allowed only in the grihastha ashrama. The grihastha is responsible for producing first clarity brahmacharis, vanaprasthas and sannyasis. Presents the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshuram militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Kadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here we see Kashyapa trying to address his wife, trying to pacify his wife. So in that context, he is still glorifying his wife for her capacity and for her support in his practices in day-to-day life. He is saying, Yata Dasyun Durgapatir. Like a Durgapati, a commander-in-chief, how he protects the fort from Dasyun, the invaders, plunderers. Yam Ashritya Indriya Aratin. Similarly, when I take shelter of you, when you support me, Aratin, enemies which are in the form of senses. Durjayan Itarashramehi. I can conquer them easily. Because the senses are Durjayan, very difficult to conquer. Itarashramehi. For people in the other ashramas like Brahmachari, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, for the senses are very difficult to conquer for them. But for me, when I take shelter of my wife, I will be able to conquer these senses. Vayam Jayema Helabir. I can easily conquer them. For others, it is Durjayan, impossible, almost next to impossible. But for a Grahastha, it is very easy, Helabihi. In the purport, Prabhupada is saying, bodily senses are considered plunderers of the fort of the body. The wife is supposed to be the commander of the fort, and therefore, whenever there is an attack on the body by the senses, it is the wife who protects the body from being smashed. Okay, whenever the senses agitate a person, when there is a wife, so she can calm down the senses. She can support him at that time. So what is the benefit of possessing a good wife? So difference between having a wife and having a good wife. In the context, Prabhupada is saying, a man who possesses a good wife does not create a disturbance in society by corrupting virgin girls. So, one who has a supportable wife, one who understands his intentions and encourages him accordingly, she supports the society by not corrupting the other woman. Without a fixed wife, a man becomes a debauchee of the first order and is a nuisance in society unless he is trained in a perfect brahmachari system. Or grahastha, unless perfect brahmachari or vanaprastha or sannyasa, they become simply nuisance in the society. The training is very important. So unless there is rigid and systematic training of the brahmachari by the expert spiritual master, see, training aspect from the teacher's side, then there is something requirement from the student side. Unless the student is obedient. So, training has to be perfect and student has to be obedient. It is sure that the so-called brahmachari will fall prey to the attack of sex. So, whatever instructions we receive, we have to be obedient to follow that instruction. Only then we are assured of success in our endeavor. Or else we may fall prey to the perspective of senses at any time. The grahastha is responsible for producing first-class brahmacharis, vanaprasthas and sannyasis. So, it is a responsibility to produce good citizens. So, who become responsible in their respective ashramas. Whether they can become a grahastha, whether they can become a brahmachari or vanaprastha or sannyasa. If the training is perfect, then they are as good citizens to the society. The whole idea is about sense control. See, sometimes what happens now, we think one particular verse of this subject. So, they are glorifying about grahastha ashram. But see, understand, at that time Kashyapa was talking in a karmakanda perspective. He is not talking in bhakti principles. He is talking in a general context. So, that cannot be taken as an authoritative standard. See, Bhagavatam is encouraging in this direction. So, Bhagavatam encourages in every direction. But only thing is, you have to be perfect in that in your responsible ashrama. See, about sense control, what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, is it possible or not possible? In 2nd chapter, 2 verses, Krishna talk about his sense control. Yatato hi api kaunteya purushasya vipashyiteha indriyani pramatini haranti prasabam mana. The senses are so strong and impetus, O Arjuna, that they forcibly carry away the mind of even a man of discrimination who is endeavoring to control them. So Prabhupada says there are 3 categories of persons. One, who cannot control his senses. He is in the karmi, he is a karmi. So one who is practicing to control his senses, he is jnani. And one who is perfected in control his senses, he is a yogi. So, if you are in the endeavor of perfecting in the senses, means once you come to the yogi stage, only then you will be able to have the restraint of your senses. So, it is very difficult to control the senses. Krishna is saying, they are very strong and impetuous, that they forcibly carry away the mind even of a man of discrimination. So, who is endeavoring to control them? So, if you are trying to control them, a small agitation can create havoc. And Prabhupada is giving example of Vishwamitra. What was Vishwamitra trying to do? He went to a forest and he was trying to do tapasya. Yoga Indriya Samyama. Yoga means itself means to restrain the senses, to control the senses. He was trying to increase his austerity. So when people increase their austerity, they become qualified materially to achieve higher positions. So when Indra saw that Vishwamitra was engaging in tapasya, so he assumed that Vishwamitra was trying to conquer his post. He is a competitor for me. So in that direction, what he thought, so if he is a competitor, I have to somehow make him fail in his endeavor, so that my position is secure. So he had many group of people who are known as Apsaras. So one best of the Apsaras he had sent to allure Vishwamitra, Menaka. So when Menaka came, she was trying to grab the attention of Vishwamitra. So what she was doing is she was trying to dance, and her ankling sound, that ankles, the twinkling of the ankle sound attracted the attention of Vishwamitra. And at that time Vishwamitra was almost engaged in tapasya for 30,000 years. So after 30,000 years also, one is not assured of success if he is not determined in the process. A small lapse in his meditation, he became carried away, and result is there is a child, Shakuntala, and because of her there is one more son, Bharat Maharaj, Bharata Vamsha, Mahabharata, entire history is because of that episode. So say like here, the small attention is missed, then he realizes what a great mistake he had done. So this process is very difficult. That's what Krishna is saying. So it is very difficult in the sense means, furthermore Krishna says, Indriyanam hi charatam yan mano anuvidiyate tadasya harate prajnam vayurnavam ivambasi. There is a boat in the river, and for the boat there will be what you say, sail. If that sail is not tied properly, the wind will divert it in many directions. The expert boatman he knows how to utilize the wind and travel accordingly. So if there is a boat without any sail, it can be multi-diverted according to the wind. He says, as the boat on the water is swept away by a strong wind, even one of the senses on which mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. So it is very difficult in the practicing stage. Now, how do we become successful? That is, we require mercy of Guru and Krishna. So in this context wise, in Bhagavatam, we come across a situation. This is about Kardama Muni and Devahuti. See, Devahuti heard about Kardama Muni from Narada Rishi, and she developed attachment for him, and she decided, I will marry only Kardama Muni. So, understanding the daughter's intention, so Swayambhu Manu and his wife Shatarupa, they were traveling everywhere, and they reached the ashrama of Kardama Muni, because they heard he is a great personality. He is also one of the sons of Brahma. He is a qualified personality. And by his tapasya, he had darshan of Lord Vishnu. And he got the blessings of Lord Vishnu. So one who has had darshan of Lord Vishnu means he is a great personality. So understanding a combination that their daughter and a great personality, by which one more great personality is going to come. So Swayambhu Manu also took his daughter along with him to hand over her to Kardama Muni. So in that context, So after handing over, and how a princess, how she served a sadhu, and what mercy she got by serving the sadhu is explained here in Bhagavatam. So Maitreya is explaining, Maitreya Vacha, Pitirbhyam prasthite sadvi, patim ingita kovida, nityam parcharyat pritya, bhavaniva bhavam prabhu. So after the daughter was handed over, so father, Pitrubhyam prasthite, when the father and mother went away, left the place, sadvi, a chaste woman, our, what is her name? Devahuti, sadvi, patim ingita kovida, understanding the emotions and feelings of the husband, ingita kovidaha, nityam paricharyat pritya, she served him with love daily. Nityam paricharyat pritya, by love she served him very nicely. Bhavaniva bhavam prabhum, just as Bhavani serves Lord Shiva, like Parvati Devi serves her husband. So similarly, Devahuti, in the same standard, similar standard, served her husband Kardama Muni. So in that purport, Prabhupada says, Parvati, she is the daughter of King of Himalayas. She is also a princess. And Lord Shiva, if you see, he is like a sadhu who doesn't have any house, who doesn't have proper residence. He almost looks like a forlorn person. Not proper attire, doesn't take bath, stays in the crematoriums, puts ashes to his body. But still, being the king's daughter, she served him very nicely. So in spite of her being a princess, she undertook all kinds of tribulation to associate with Lord Shiva, who did not even have a house and sitting under the trees and passing his time in meditation. Today, unmarried girls are taught to worship Lord Shiva with the idea that they met husbands like him, a qualified dhiraha, a qualified husband. So their unmarried girls are encouraged to worship Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the ideal husband, not in the senses of riches or sense gratification, because he is the greatest of the devotees. In that context wise, he is the ideal husband. The girls are not taught to select a husband who is very rich or very opulent for material sense gratification. Rather, if a girl is fortunate enough to get a husband as good as Lord Shiva in devotional service, then her life becomes perfect. So whom the girl should choose? Should he have financial capacities? Should he is good at sense gratification? No, that is not the standard of selecting the husband. The husband should be of greatest devotee. Because by following the husband, a wife will achieve the success in the husband's endeavor. If the husband goes back home, back to Godhead, the wife will automatically get that opportunity of going back home, back to Godhead. 1+1 offer. एक परचेस किया, दूसरा मुफ्त में मिल गया. So similarly, Devahuti served her husband with great love and affection, Pritya. And she knew how to please him, Ingita Kovidaha. Therefore, she is designated here as Sadhvi. That's why she is designed as chaste woman. Then, Vishrambena Atma Sauchena, Gauravena Dhamena Cha, Shushushaya Sauhrudena, Vacha Maduraya Cha Bho. Oh, my dear Vidra, Bho. So, Shushushaya Atma Sauchena. She served her husband, Shushushaya, faithfully. Atma Sauchena, with self-control, regulated self-control. Then, Vishrambena, with intimacy. Gauravena, with great respect. And Dhamena cha, and with control of the senses. Sauhrudena, with love. Vacha Maduraya cha, with sweet words. See how a wife should serve the husband. The technicalities are mentioned here. Vishrambena, Gauravena, Dhamena cha, Sauhrudena, Maduraya Vachacha. So, Devahuti served her husband in two ways. Vishrambena, Gauravena. Means with intimacy and with great reverence. Sometimes what happens? Intimacy, we lose the respect for the opposite person. Familiarity breeds contempt. But here, she maintained her respectability for her husband because he is a superior personality. Because husband is also called as very intimate friend. The wife must render service just like an intimate friend, and at the same time must understand the husband is superior in position because of his spiritual advancement. And sometimes there will be misunderstanding. So what is the solution for that? The wife must tolerate it, and there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. See, all these things are temporary in phase. If you hold on to the circumstances, they simply destroy the relationship. So it is said, one has to simply tolerate. Jai Shri Radha Govinda ki. So Damena cha means a wife should learn to control herself even if there is a misunderstanding. Regulate her senses. That mind, agitation of the mind and senses should be taken control. And Sauhrudena Vacha Madhurya means always desiring good for the husband and speaking to him with sweet words. See, he will be working hard outside. There he will have 100 tensions. If he comes home, again the same history repeats. Where he will go, poor fellow? Torture outside, torture inside. So recently there was one advertisement in Haridwar and I think somewhere in Kashi also. My dear women, please take care of your husbands. So they have become so much frustrated that Haridwar and this entire places are filled with sannyasis. See the situation. You have to take care of him properly so that he doesn't run away from the house. So torture is outside level, there is one torture. Inside level, there is mental torture. This is more than what he can tolerate. So it is like a tawa and fire. So both ways he is getting fried up. Outside world is like that. So people have to understand that, accommodate according to the situation. See, sometimes what happens, demanding is there. That's where what devotees say, artificial life we should not lead. Lead according to what is your capacity. Be satisfied. One of the instructions of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is, Edrishta labha santushtaha. Be satisfied with whatever record Lord has sanctioned them. Next further it says, Vishrujya kamam dambam cha dvesham logam agam madam apramatto udyata nityam teji amsham atoshayat. So she should be apramattaha, she should be working sanely, and udyata nityam, and diligently she should be serving her husband. Then teji amsham atoshayat, she pleased her very powerful husband. Teji amsham, he is very powerful man. Then how did she please him? Vishrujya, by leaving, kamam, lust, dhambam, pride, dvesham, envy, lobam, greed, agam, sinful activities, and madam, vanity. By leaving all these bad qualities, she served her husband very sincerely. So these are some of the qualities of a great husband's great wife. So Kardama Muni is great by his spiritual qualification. So that's why he is mentioned as Teji Amsham, very powerful personality. So although a wife may be equal to her husband in advancement in spiritual consciousness, she should not be vainly proud. So pride precedes fall down. In spiritual circles it is said, always humility is the basic principle. Even though one may be having all good qualities, he will be humble in life. Always Acharyas give example of a tree with full fruits. A tree with full fruits never stands erect. It always bends. So humility is the principle here. So all that fruits are our devotional qualities. A person with all the qualities will be humble in nature. As soon as the wife becomes proud of her parentage, her pride creates great misunderstanding between husband and wife, and their spiritual life or family life is ruined. So what happens? Practical issues. Pride precedes fall down. Because of pride, the opposite person, opposite sex may be put down in his understanding. So there is always a failure in the marriage life. So Chanakya Pandit, he says there are 4 enemies at home, it seems. If the father is in debt, he is considered to be an enemy. If the mother is selected another husband in the presence of her grown-up children, she is considered to be an enemy. If the wife does not live well with her husband but deals very roughly, then she is an enemy. And if a son is a fool, he is also an enemy. So these are all in general perspective. Because enemy means one who gives torture. See, debt, when somebody is in debt, it's a continuous torture. When to fill it back? Or somebody, when she is roughly talking, there are no pleasing words. It's a torture. When you have a fool who doesn't work in your house, it's a torture. That perspective only Chanakya Pandit says these are all like Shubhashita, good words. So similarly, further it says, Savai Devarushi Varyastam Manavim Samanuvratam Daivad Gariyashaha Patyur Ashashana Mahashishaha Kalena Bhuyashakshamam Karshitam Vratacharyaya Prema Gadgadaya Vacha Piditaha Krupaya Abravit. So, the daughter of Manu, Manavim, Samanuvratam Patyuhu, who faithfully devoted to her husband, Daivat Gariyashaha, who looked upon him as even greater than the providence, because Guru is superior to Krishna. So, she treated him as spiritual master, as a Guru. So, Ashashana Mahashishaha, she expected great blessings from him. Because if you satisfy a great personality, you get great blessings. So, Kalena Bhuyasa, having served him for a long time, Kshamam, she became very weak. And Karshitam Vratacharya, she became emaciated due to her religious observances. Means she became very thin and very lean because of too many austerities. So, seeing her condition, Savai Deva Rishi Varyaha, Kardama, the foremost among the celestial rishis, Krupaya Piditaha, he was overcome with compassion, Krupaya, with compassion. Tham Abravit, he spoke to her, Prema Gadgadaya Vacha, with faltering voice, with Premna, out of great love, she addressed her husband, she addressed his wife, because she had been serving him for a long time. She took compassion upon her. So, where is she as a princess? How she became lean and thin? By serving him continuously. So, here in that purport, Prabhupada says, the wife is expected to be of the same category as the husband. She must be prepared to follow the principles of the husband, then there will be happy married life. If the husband is a devotee and the wife is a materialistic, there cannot be any peace in the home. So, these are the two perspectives. Both should be of same mentality. So, generally when they do marriage consultation, they go to an astrologer and they try to check whether astronomically both personalities match or not. Nowadays, people don't consult this Shastra. There are, I think, some 35 to 40 points which are to be matched. And some points are very essential, and up to, I think, 80 to 85% match should happen between boy and girl. Only then a marriage is recommended. Or else what happens? Every day it will be Kurukshetra in the house. What happens? Simply, for example, if somebody, boy is of a Daiva nature and girl is of a Asuric nature. See, there are three things, three modes, Sattva, Rajas, Tama. They are called as Daivagana, Manushagana, Asuragana. See, if a Daivagana gets married to a Asuragana girl, or a Asuragana boy gets married to a Daivagana girl, so it is like demigod and demons can stay in the same house. So, fight will be there every day. So, we have to be very careful. So, marriage is, it's a science. Proper understanding, proper personalities have to be put together. The word Samanuvrata indicates it is the duty of the wife to adopt the special circumstances in which the husband is situated. Like when Sita was with Ramachandra, when they are in the palace, she was like a queen. But when she went to the forest, she became like a forest lady because she also adapted to the circumstances of Lord Ramachandra. So, this is the recommended process. When husband is going through trouble, she should support him in the process. She should not demand him more at the circumstances. She should understand what is happening and take care of the system. If the husband is as great as Kardama Muni, then the very good result accrues from following him. But even if the husband is not a great devotee, it is the wife's duty to adopt herself according to his mentality. So after seeing the situation, Kardama, how did he respond? Kardama uvacha, Tushtoham adya tava manavi manadayaha. O respectful daughter of Manu, Tushtoham, I have become very satisfied with you. Shushushaya paramaya parayacha bhaktya, because you have been serving me greatly and with devotion. Paramaya parayacha bhaktya, in a superior way you have been serving me sincerely. Yo dvehina mayam ativa suhrud. For an embodied person, this body is very dear. Sadeho na avekshitaha. You have neglected even that body. Samuchitaha kshapitam madarde. And you have neglected your own body for using it for my purpose. So you have become so lean and thin. Ye me swadharma niratasya tapas samadhi vidya atma yoga vijita Bhagavat Prasadaha. So because of serving the body, I have achieved the Bhagavat Prasadaha, blessings of the Lord. And by discharging my religious duties, Yeme Swadharma Niratasya Vijitaha, I have achieved Bhagavat Prasadaha. By Tapaha Samadhi Vidya Atma Yogaha, by engaging in austerity, meditation, and engaging in Krishna consciousness, and Atma Yoga, and in meditation upon the Lord. So I shall Tanevate Mad Anusevanaya Avarundun. Today, because I shall offer to you all this, because you have engaged in my service, I shall give you what is this transcendental opulences, what I had achieved. I will give you an opportunity. And what are that opulences? Abhayan Ashokan, which is free from fear and lamentation. These two qualities, Abhayan, Ashokan. These are the transcendental opulences what Kardama Muni had achieved, having darshan of the Lord and blessings of the Lord. So, Vitarami Drishtim Prapasya. Now look at them. I am giving you this transcendental vision to see how nice they are. So, by serving the husband, wife also, she achieves the opulences of the husband. That's why she is called as Ardhangi. This is a continuation of the last verse perspective. So she gets half the benefit of what husband had achieved. So Devahuti, although she has not qualified for the blessings of the Lord, by the mercy of Kardama Muni, she achieved the blessings of the Lord. So similarly, there are various perspectives in spiritual life. To understand spirituality means to understand about devotees and their life, and how the Lord plays Leela with their devotees. So tomorrow on the context of Narasimha Jayanti, so we will understand about some pastime of Lord Narasimha, how Lord is very dear to his devotees. This is specifically about Simhachalam deity. The uniqueness of the deity is he is Varaha Narasimha. He is just not only Narasimha, his face is like Varaha and body is like Narasimha. So what is so unique? So this is the deity which was established by Prahlad Maharaj. So we all know the story of Prahlad Maharaj and Narasimha. The context was Prahlada was becoming very great devotee. Hiranyakashipu was not able to tolerate him. At one particular point he ordered Prahlada to be killed. So they were taking various measures. They put him in a room full of snakes. They gave him poison. They tried to crush him under the elephants. So at this particular point, they asked, he was asked to be thrown away from the top of a hill. So he was brought to this area near Vishakhapatnam. So from that hillock, he was thrown into the ocean by tying up a stone. So what happens when you are tied up with a stone? You will sink into the ocean. You will never float back. So when he was tied and he was about to be thrown, Prahlad Maharaj remembers a lot. It says, your Leela, what if you want to protect me, you protect me. But if you want to take me away, take me away. I am at your, what do you say, mercy. I am at your mercy. So when Prahlad Maharaj was thrown away into the water, so feeling the separation from his devotee, Lord appeared in the ocean, it seems. He lifted him, leaving that stone, and he brought him back to the ocean, shore of the ocean. Because Lord was standing near the ocean, because he jumped into the ocean, he went so deep, it seems his pada touched the patala. The Lord, because the ocean, he would have been floating, drowned to the down. So Lord went so deep that his feet went up to the ocean. And Prahlada was able to see only from the knees part or something above the deity only part. So Prahlada became very happy when he was again sent back. Again they took him back. Now Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him. That we know how Narasimha came. Hiranyakashipu was killed. So later, remembering the Lord's mercy upon him, Prahlad Maharaj came to this area. And he prayed to the Lord in meditation. He wanted to have darshan of the Lord. So being satisfied with the devotees' prayers, Lord appeared there. And Prahlada asked the Lord, I want to see you in that form who has appeared to kill my father and my uncle. So Hiranyaksha was killed by Varaha. Hiranyakashipu was killed by Narasimha. So he wanted one form by which he can worship both the avatars. So feeling compassionate, the Lord out of mercy became this Varaha Narasimha. The face of Varaha and body of Narasimha. What is so special? Because of Varaha Narasimha, Varaha is very cool personality. And Narasimha is very Ugra personality. So in that way, like plus and minus are comped off. He is peaceful personality. So Prahlad Maharaj built a small temple there. And the deity has only a part, almost like feet is not visible there. It seems. So he worshipped the deity, he built a temple. Over a period of time, that yuga passed on. So again, the deity got submerged into an ant hill. And it was lost for a period of time. Next, Pururava, one day when he was traveling with his wife Urvasi in an airplane, when he came to this area, suddenly his airplane was dragged down. And he went to that area, and when he went there, he was instructed by a divine voice that there is a deity of Lord Varaha Narasimha, please excavate it and start worshipping it. So he was running everywhere in the hillock. Where will you find a deity in a hillock? So he was trying all his endeavor. He climbed the hill also. He could not find the deity. So when he slept that night, Lord gave him direction where he is lying. So next day when he went there, he picked up the deity. Then he brought 1000 kalashas of Ganga water, and he started doing the abhisheka for the deity. So when he was seeing that feet of the deity were not there, he was thinking that it is an incomplete personality. See, when there is a part missing, the deity is not worshipped. So at that time there was one Akashvani, he said that the feet of the Lord are worshipped in Patala Loka, and this is the full form which you have to worship for you. This is up to you, this much is only up to you. The rest is there in Patala Loka. So please worship this form. And Lord also said that you have been not rendering some quality service unto me after performing Abhisheka. So as the ants have done to be saved me, because when there is an ant hill, Lord was protected from winter, sun, rain. The ants have done great service for me. You are enjoying your wife and you have become sense gratification. You have not done properly service for me. So Lord said, I have been angry upon you. Now if you have to pacify me, now you cover me with chandan. So in that way, there is a rule to cover the Lord in the chandan. Only one day in a year, there is an exemption on Akshaya Tritiya day. The Lord will be having darshan in the Nijarupa darshana. All the other times, it is like a linga. He is fully covered in chandan. So there is some system of when and all to cover chandan. There are 480 kgs of chandan is applied to the Lord. On the Akshaya Tritiya day, the deity is uncovered, but the next day, the Lord is covered with 120 kg of chandan over his body. Then Vishaka Purnima, 120 kg more. Jyeshta Purnima, 120 kg chandan more. And Ashada Purnima, 120 kg chandan more. So 480 kgs of chandan, systematically it is applied to the Lord. From, means after 4 months, 480 kgs, till next Akshaya Tritiya only, then it is opened. So then, after a period of time, when Ramanujacharya went to Puri, he had darshan. While he was coming back, he came to Simhachalam, Kurmakshetram. At that time, there was a confusion among the worshippers, whether it is Linga or Vishnu They were thinking because it is covered in chandan, they were thinking he is Shiva. And some people were saying this is Vishnu. So to resolve this issue, so Ramanujacharya, he tried to remove the chandan, some part of the chandan, to excavate who is that personality inside. So after removing some chandan, they saw blood coming out of the body. So, but they could see Shankha Chakras visible there. So they could immediately identify this is the Vishnu personality and he has to be worshipped in the Vishnu form, not in the Shiva form. So then they immediately covered the body with the chandan, and the process that continued, even that Akshaya Tritiya Chandan Yatra continued as worshipping of Vishnu form. So after then, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had visited the deity. That is where he had offered Shri Narasimha, Jai Narasimha, that prayer he had offered to Jiyada Narasimha, it says, that is for us all, how Lord is compassionate for all of us. So there is one more similar story with Shankaracharya also with Narasimha. So Shankaracharya is great devotee of Lord Narasimha. He had composed that Lakshmi Karavalamba Stotram, Lakshmi Narasimha Karavalamba Stotram. So this is one more unique pastime. So when he was proceeding towards Ahobilam, Shankaracharya had a vision that he will have darshan of Lord in Ahobilam. So he was proceeding towards Ahobilam when he came to the area of Sri Shailam. That area is called as with all his disciples, that what is that forest? Nallamala forest. So when he came near that forest area, there are a group of religious sect people who are known as Kapalikas, who believed in human sacrifice. So one day when Shankaracharya was sitting under deep meditation, a Kapalika approached him and he woke up Shankara from his meditation and told him, God Kapali would appear to him if he sacrificed either the head of an emperor or a head of a great sannyasi. So Shankara was happy, he was amused. He smiled and said that he had no objection whatever to surrender, he said. That he would come to the temple of Bhairava at midnight without the knowledge of his disciples, because there are other disciples also along with Shankaracharya. They would not allow him to go to sacrifice himself. So he became overjoyed that his desires will be fulfilled. The Kapalika went back and he started making preparations for his preliminary rites of worship before the human sacrifice. Generally what happens, man proposes, God disposes. So Shankara got up from his bed at the dead of midnight and he left for the temple of Bhairava. So his dear disciple was there, whose name is Padmapada. So he sensed some danger to his guru and he earnestly prayed to Lord Narasimha to protect his guru. So he also followed his guru to see what is happening there, because he could see some bad omens coming up. So when he came to the respective area, he saw the spot and where the Kapalika had worshipped the deity with all the rituals, and he made Shankaracharya sit there, and with a big dagger, he was about to chop off the head of Shankaracharya. So at that time, it is said that Lord Narasimha became invoked in the body of Padmapada. He immediately ran there, took up that dagger from that Kapalika and chopped off the head of that Kapalika itself. And at that particular point, when Shankaracharya opened his eyes, he saw Lord Narasimha standing in front of him. So with the vision of Lord Narasimha, he immediately offered prayers, which became Lakshmi Narasimha Karavalamba Stotra. So in that way, see how Lord is there for his devotees. So generally we worship Narasimha for this protection perspective. So that whenever devotees feel danger, when they pray to Narasimha, they are assured that Lord is there with them to cross the situation. How he will protect, we don't know. Whether he wants us to go through the situation or he wants us to avoid the situation, whatever it is his mercy. So we should always be praying to Guru and Krishna that we should be engaged in his service, so that we get an opportunity of serving great personalities through Guru, the Supreme Lord, and in the process we become purified and we go back home, back to God. So I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం. వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700. హరే కృష్ణ